All right. Hello and welcome to Recognizing and Recovering from the Devalue and Discard Stages of Narcissistic Abuse. My name is Sherry Gaba. I am a licensed social worker, licensed clinical social worker. I'm host of the podcast, The Love Fix, and the author of the book Love Smacked: How to Stop the Cycle of Relationship Addiction and Codependency to Find Everlasting Love. Again, it's called Love Smacked. It's on Amazon. And I'm also the founder of the Wake Up Recovery membership for healing from toxic relationships. I'm going to be referring to my notes over here, so I'm sorry my eyes aren't direct, but I'm right here with you all, and I'll be able to see your comments. But to repeat, I am the founder of the Wake Up Recovery program for healing from toxic relationships. And for all our listeners that are on the Facebook today and in the future, if you're seeing the replay at another time, I'm offering a really special price for those here today for $1. It's $1 trial, and then it goes to $27 a month, or you can buy the full year, and that's half off. So you definitely want to skip over to, I understand that the link is in the comment section. According to our tech people, it's the Wake Up Recovery program. And again, it's for healing toxic relationships, and it's $1 trial. So definitely check that out with the link in the comments. So here we go. I'm going to begin. Every relationship has phases or stages, and in healthy relationship, these stages or phases move the couple forward in the relationship, creating a greater bond, mutual love, and a greater sense of respect and empathy for each other. The couple grows together through both good times and more challenging times to become more confident in each other, as well as their own sense of identity and independence. They're moving towards a secure attachment. Understanding the narcissistic relationship cycle is very different. In a relationship with a narcissist, this is not the reality. A narcissist enters into a relationship with the sole interest of pulling you into the relationship. And this is done with a variety of techniques and methods designed to make you feel special, loved, and truly the person who has their adoration. We call that love bombing. Some signs of being in the idealization stage of the narcissistic abuse cycle is the narcissist will appear to be everything you've ever wanted in a partner. He's a chameleon, matching personalities, likes, hobbies, interests, and even preferences to yours. In this way, they appear to be you think you're the perfect match. They put you on a pedestal. During the idealization stage, everything you do is right, it's the best, or simply amazing. You are the center of attention and can do no wrong. Love bombing, they'll give you extravagant gifts, fine dinners, trips, unexpected presents, and constant messages of love seem to arrive at an incredible pace. They tell you things like, I love everything about you. I've never met anyone as perfect as you. You're the only person I want to spend time with. I don't know if any of this is sounding familiar. Maybe you want to put a little thumbs up if it does sound familiar. They are over the top with saying things that are just too much, too soon. Dramatic gestures and talking about this as the perfect or ideal relationship are common. And often in just a few dates, the partner is talking about the future and all the ways they will make this to be the best possible relationship. And I understand that I'm going to see questions, so feel free to put in your questions. I understand our tech team is going to put them up here, so if you do have any questions, make sure to ask. I'm going to be talking for about 25 minutes. The love-addicted individual may find this overwhelming at first, but the narcissist is very savvy enough to maintain the facade for a period of time. And while this is happening, the narcissist is also slowly drawing the individual into the relationship by reducing the time spent with friends and family. So they're starting to isolate you. The sense of adoration and attention is so attractive. The love addict is just so easy to attach to the narcissist because of this. And this is often the point when the cycle takes a very negative turn into the devalue and discard stages. The devalue stage, so in a healthy relationship, the immediate euphoria and almost intoxicating effect of being around the other person naturally begins to decrease. although the two individuals will continue to grow more comfortable in understanding and knowing each other at a deeper level. And this is often when couples start to accept they are individuals, have some level of autonomy and independence, while still being a part of a relationship. And it's also a time where each individual learns to feel comfortable in expressing their needs. They're not scared, they feel safe. They're asking for their ideas to be considered, and both supporting their partner as well as being supported. In a narcissistic relationship, this evolution of being together does not occur. Instead, the narcissist begins to observe and point out all the little flaws in the other partner. Remember, it's not as if the narcissist overlooked these flaws in the initial stages of the relationship. It's that the criticism and the devaluation of the partner was all hidden, pushed away, pushed to the side, and covered up. In the narcissist's mind, pointing out the flaws in the other person is one way to avoid acknowledging they have their own personal flaws and deficits. So by pointing out and focusing on everything that is wrong with what the partner says and does, the narcissist can transfer all that negativity onto someone else and not have to keep it inside themselves. At the same time, devaluing the other person, particularly with friends and family or in public, is a ploy to make the narcissist seem more important, which is part of being a narcissist, right? They're very grandiose. It's a way to boost their own self-image by trying to make those around them look bad. In this way, perhaps a different term for the devalue stage would be the depreciation stage. And this is often a slow process. The narcissist does not always go from overwhelmingly loving and attentive to immediately hostile, critical, and emotionally abusive. Instead, they do things very slowly, twisting and manipulating how they talk about the partner's families and friends. And gradually, they ramp up the negativity and distortions until the partner is uncertain of who is really on their side or who is in the right or the wrong. And so that's when that whole second guessing begins to happen. You just don't even know what's going on. You're going nuts. The long-term results of being gaslit and manipulated are to minimize your own feelings and question yourself. Do you find that you wonder if you are the narcissist? Are you overreacting? Are you unsure of how the events actually took place? Do you wonder if you're crazy or being too sensitive? Do you rationalize their behavior? Do you make excuses for them? Under all your doubt and pain, you must know deep down that something else feels off. We're often conditioned with the help of the media to think that abuse is physical, but abuse comes in many forms, including psychological and verbal. You are losing your sense of reality because you have been conditioned to question yourself. That's the narcissist's whole method of madness. You've been told repeatedly and consistently that you are wrong, crazy, a liar, selfish, manipulative, or other things as well. And this has led you to doubt things you have seen with your own eyes. And it's often easier to accept their version of events than continue to argue. So now we're going to get into the signs of the devaluing behavior. Recognizing the signs of devaluing is not always easy, as it is subtle and slow. The love addict can rationalize even extremely negative comments in an attempt to hold on to the relationship. I just remembered, by the way, we're going to do the Q&A after I'm done. So never mind what I said earlier. We'll do the Q&A when I'm done presenting. It's important to note that the devaluation phase often is a sign of the narcissist seeing that the relationship is not going the way he or she planned. They may have discovered they were caught in lies, called on their actions, or held accountable for something they did or said they would do but failed to complete. They may also find the partner is expecting some level of reciprocation in the relationship and is no longer simply supporting the narcissist's grandiosity. In other words, the partner is no longer the supply of endless admiration and ego stroking the narcissist requires and loves. Typically, the first signs of devaluation are subtle and hard to detect. They may start calling you a name you don't like or have asked them not to use. It could also be offhand comments about your physical appearance, career, decision-making, education, understanding, or any other area of your life. One of the most frequent tools of the narcissist during the devaluation phase is the beginning of a physical and emotional distancing. This could include, that stonewalling, actually leaving the partner alone for short or long periods of time, and not providing any information or explanation as to why or where they are. It can include withholding physical intimacy and sex. The more the partner attempts to create a situation to be emotionally or physically intimate with the narcissist, the more the devaluation increases. Common signs you are in this phase is number one, gaslighting, repeating lies or manipulations of the truth until it's hard to trust your own recollection and judgment, that whole second guessing, scapegoating, blaming someone else for their actions and behaviors, name calling. This can be in private or in public and is often passed off by the narcissist as playful or joking if anyone makes a comment. Passive aggressive. They can play out in many different ways, including simply ignoring requests, doing what they want to do, or walking away when there is an attempt to address their behavior. Setting the partner up for loss. Narcissists will make plans, promises, commitments, only to fail to follow through continually. And they often do this very publicly and then use the partner's emotional or angry response as a way to show how mistreated, undervalued, and uncared for they are in the relationship. The fact that they set the scenario in motion is never mentioned. If you attempt to point it out, they deny everything. And then they play the victim. The narcissist will twist any situation around to make themselves the innocent and wounded party, and the other person the bad guy. They may do this in public and in private, often in combination with gaslighting. Minimizing their negativity. Every response by the person is an overreaction in the eyes of the narcissist. So suddenly you're becoming the narcissist. You're the overreactor. They minimize the other person's hurt and frustration and maximize their own pain and attempt to correct the relationship issues. Breaking relationships. The narcissist continues to try to isolate you by talking behind your back. They may attribute their negative comments about family and friends to you through private communication and smear campaigns that can be conducted on social media, by phone, or in person. And while the narcissist is beginning to create the environment to move forward to the discard phase, he or she is always interested in keeping the partner close by. For many, this includes alternating between love bombing and honeymoon behavior, and then the negativity of the devalue phase. And for the love addiction or obsessed partner or codependent, the small sprinkling of this kind behavior that was so desirable in the initial stages of the relationship keeps them hoping desperately for things to go back to those good old days, the positive days. The narcissist is counting on this, using the desire of the partner to have a relationship against them. And the more the partner says or attempts to appease or win back the narcissist in this phase, the more overt the devaluation. It's not uncommon for the devaluation phase to include devaluing the things that make you unique. This can include making fun of your job or a particular dream you have or aspiration you have in your life. I remember when I decided to go back to school to become a therapist, my ex told me I would make a horrible therapist because I'm too sensitive. I was dumbfounded by this comment. It may also include making fun of or targeting your greatest insecurities. For those who are body conscious, the negativity may be around weight or clothing not fitting right. For those who are unemployed or do not have their job, the negativity is often around those issues. I know that I had a relationship with someone who I was very sensitive. My mother was in an assisted living and I felt really guilty and I felt really bad. And so he told me I was a horrible daughter and that my father is turning in his grave because I put my mother in an assisted living. So just knew how to get me right where he knew how to get me. Over time, the devaluing turns into a form of martyrdom for the narcissist. They manage to believe and twist the situation to the point where they are being emotionally abused by the partner, And if the partner argues, they try to clarify the situation or even attempt to correct the problem, and they become the target of blame. And as the narcissist blames the love addict tries harder to be the perfect partner. And this is often by attempting to get closer to the narcissist, creating a downward spiral. The more the love addict does, the more the narcissist devalues the effort and continues to hurt and wound the partner. Now we get to the discard phase. The discard phase typically follows the devalue phase, where the partner starts to identify the issues with the narcissist. The lack of value and self-worth the narcissist projects onto the partner is a sign of their own insecurities and weaknesses. You are no longer providing the adoration and overwhelming attention required to fuel the needs of the narcissist. That's called narcissistic supply. At the same time, you're likely to feel emotionally drained, uncertain of your own sense of reality, and a state where you feel personal responsibility for everything that has happened in the relationship. It is common to experience high levels of insecurity and for the love addict to feel the rising anxiety and fear of leaving the relationship. Even more difficult for the love addict or codependent is the feeling of being abandoned or left by the narcissistic partner. It's a card that will get played over and over again to cause you emotional pain and to trigger your desire to appease and please the narcissist, which is often what love addicts and narcissists do. Important things to remember about the discard phase include backup in place. The narcissist typically only leaves the current relationship when there's a backup supply of attention and adoration waiting for them. The individual is unaware of the love bombing they're experiencing and typically sees you through the eyes of the narcissist. They flaunt the new partner. The narcissist may flaunt the presence of the new partner, including making it obvious to you they're starting a new relationship. And it's often not uncommon for the new partner to be drawn into the conflict created by the narcissist. And this is a way for the narcissist to have the new partner buy into their reality as you are triggered and respond. Increased absence. It's very common that the extended absences or unaccounted times of ghosting by the narcissist begin to increase in the early part of the discard phase. This can be interspersed with times of affection and attention as a way for the narcissist to continue to have their endless need for attention sustained by more than one relationship at the same time. They like to have all kinds of people out there. The intent, however, is to move from their current partner to someone new who will accept and not question their behaviors or motives or actions in the honeymoon phase of the new relationship. And this is often called the narcissistic supply. You've moved from a primary supplier to now a secondary and supportive supplier because you're being discarded. Refusing to change. The narcissist is rarely willing to change or accept their role in the dysfunction of the relationship. And even if, say, they will attend counseling or listen and respond to the partner, they're absolutely incapable of making these changes without assistance and professional support. And they are aware of the damage they're doing at some level. And this generates guilt and shame as well as defensiveness and their own form of self-protection, which is blaming you for everything. Walking on eggshells. It may seem as if the narcissist is a bomb just waiting to go off. The partner cannot anticipate what will draw negativity and abuse. They have no idea what will set that person off. So they're constantly on edge and trying to be the appeaser, which means giving in even more to the demands and wishes of the narcissist. The silent treatment, that is meant to put the other person in a state of anxiety, uncertainty, and discomfort with the situation. And then this often leads to apologizing for many things, even those that were not even in your control. And the more you apologize and attempt to take on the blame, the more this feeds the behavior of the narcissist and adding to his or her view of their own superiority. Now we're going to get into the drama of the discard. As with all issues in a relationship with a narcissist, the discard phase is full of drama created by the narcissist. There's often a dramatic final confrontation orchestrated by the narcissist that is all about highlighting all the way the partner failed the relationship. It's also a blame and shame event where all the problems of the relationship are related directly to the character, flaws, and faults of their partner. Being aware of this can help you prepare for the onslaught of negativity and exaggeration that's likely to occur. And keep in mind, the narcissist only moves toward the discard stage when he or she is bored, no longer the center of attention, or is aware that the behaviors, action, and lack of responsibility for anything in the relationship are no longer something the partner is willing to overlook, accept, or tolerate. There is rarely, if ever, any discussion about the narcissist's need to end the relationship until he or she decides to make a move. At this point, his or her emotional neediness is being satisfied by another, or perhaps more than one other person. They have a lot of supply out there. It's often a time where the love addict or codependent partner either needs assistance or is feeling that the relationship is finally making a positive turn. And then the narcissist may reduce the amount of devaluing as they've already mentally disengaged from the relationship. They no longer need to use their energy in your relationship. They are heavily invested in the new relationship and in love bombing the new person and being the best white knight to another unsuspecting person. In many ways, a love addict or codependent is in a calm place when this is occurring. While there is emotional and even physical distancing, the narcissist is not always toxic. In fact, they may be willing to allow the partner to believe the relationship can be saved if the partner is willing to go back to being the adoring, accepting, and non-judgmental individual they were in the relationship's honeymoon phase. However, once the partner has experienced the emotional distancing, the lack of caring and the disregard for the relationship, this return to the narcissist's ideal state is often impossible or very short-lived. By the time the person has been in the relationship through the idealization, devalue, and discard phases, the relationship is not about love. It's more about bonding through the trauma bond. It's a psychological bondage. It is a true addiction to trying to please the narcissist. This is often a familiar pattern of behavior the love addict has experienced in their own family and past relationships. The discard after the devalue phase is cruel and abusive. The narcissist has played upon the biggest fear of the love addict, which is to be abandoned and left behind. At the same time, the narcissist goes on to the new and perfect relationship with the partner that is so much better, smarter, more attractive, and more pleasing. Common experiences during the discard stage include an immediate end. It is common for most people to have empathy and feelings for a partner, even after a breakup. However, the narcissist throws away a partner in a discard as if they were throwing away the trash. They show no remorse and make no effort to minimize the emotional pain they cause the other person. The smear campaign. While the smear campaign begins in the devaluation stage, it can ramp up in the discard stage. The smear campaign after the discard can be particularly embarrassing or humiliating, twisting private and deeply personal things you shared with a partner into horrible public comments that are designed to cause personal and professional damage. Smearing you also provides a narcissist with the ability to put themselves in the best light. This may be as the victim or as the hero, trying to rescue a damaged individual who simply could not be saved. Then there's ongoing toying with your emotions. The discard may initially be the end, but the narcissist never really lets go. This could result in reaching out days, weeks, months, or even years later in an attempt to rekindle the relationship. This can sound like, I've changed, or I know we both have changed, or grown, become better people. These statements are built on false promises and the need to use you for narcissistic supply. This is often true if the current partner is now out of the picture or in the devalue and discard phase of the relationship with the narcissist. The narcissist may also want to simply reach out now and then to toy with you, getting satisfaction in knowing that you'll respond to their texts, social media posts, or their calls. Occasionally, the narcissist leaves and never returns. This is really the long goodbye with no words, no explanation, and nothing but your sense of the problems in the relationship. However, with no information, it can be easy to remember those hateful words in the devaluation phase and see the blame for the end of the relationship as something you did or you have to carry. So now we're going to get to the solution, recovering after devaluation and discard. While it's very common for the emotional toll of these types of relationships to create other problems and challenges, recovery after a toxic relationship with a narcissist is possible. Most partners are isolated from their family or friends. The narcissist has likely tried to drive away those you love and care about through their abusive and hostile behavior. It can be embarrassing and humiliating for the love addict to have yet another problematic relationship that they blame themselves for, starting and for failing to make it work. Partners are also drained of their self-confidence, self-worth, and trust in their own intuition and understanding. They may have given up their dreams, lost their jobs, and been left with no financial means or assets. And if they're children of the relationship, the narcissist will likely use the children to continue to negatively impact your life with no regard for the damage he or she is doing to the children. They just don't care. So working with a therapist or joining a community such as mine, which I talked about in the beginning and I'll bring up again at the end, and it's also listed in the comments, when you join a community of people who've been where you are and are focused on healing and growth after narcissistic abuse, these are essential parts of the healing process. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than having other people to share what you are going through with. It's always been a very helpful for me. So through therapy and a community, individuals can understand the root issues around love addiction or codependency. What behaviors, what of your personality traits brought you into this relationship, and learn ways to have healthy relationships in the future. There's some other practical tips and strategies I recommend during the recovery process, and these include practicing self-care, radical self-care. This is a focus on what you need to do physically and emotionally heal from narcissistic abuse, healthy eating, I know you guys have already heard this before, but it's really important for me to repeat. Healthy eating, exercise, sleep, finding things that you enjoy doing in your life is critical. I remember I took up outrigger canoeing. That was so awesome for me. It really helped me recover, help the process of recovering. You cannot emotionally heal if you're not in a healthy state of well-being, which includes your physical body and your emotional resilience and health. You don't want to be full of lots of stress. You want to get rid of that stress. You want to reconnect with your loved ones. Family and friends may have disengaged from interactions, but those who love you will come back to you and support you in your recovery. Talking about the situation with trusted key people in your life is helpful for your recovery and their understanding. Journaling. I recommend journaling as a way to look back and see the patterns of behavior, manipulation, and intentional harm from the narcissist caused during the relationship. Reflecting back on the gaslighting, lying, and manipulation helps you identify how things were twisted to blame you and to create the illusion that you were the one at fault when you were not. You also can try something new. I actually moved 3,000 miles away. I actually bought a place by the beach in Florida. So I live in two places, in California and Florida. I did something very radical because I really needed to make a huge change in my life. Of course, not everybody can buy a second home, but this was what I did. You can maybe go on a vacation, but try something new. It can be very frightening, and difficult to have confidence in yourself after being devalued by someone who thought loved you and truly cared about your well-being. So learning to trust yourself again, to try something new and succeed is a positive step in recovery and healing. And then, being comfortable as a single. One of the big changes for love addicts and codependent is to learn to love themselves and really have a relationship with yourself and connect to yourself. This is the ability to be on your own and seeing that as being positive, and getting comfortable doing daily activities on your own. Spending an evening in the house or apartment doing something that makes you happy or brings you joy is a terrific start. It's amazing. I have to tell you, I love it. It's only when you are comfortable as a single and with yourself that you carry that confidence and self-worth into a positive, healthy relationship in the future. It's the only time you're going to attract somebody healthy, because you're going to feel healthy inside, from the inside out. And most of all, it's vital to cut off communication and connection with the narcissist. You have to go no contact. Getting comfortable in setting boundaries to protect yourself is crucial to eliminate the possibility of the narcissist or another similar person taking over your whole world again. Moving through recovery after being discarded by a narcissist is not easy. Through therapy, a community, and support, you can learn to love yourself, stop blaming, guilting, shaming, or embarrassment that may have trapped you in the dysfunctional and toxic relationship with the narcissist. And suddenly you will become more confident. Believe me, it happens when you step out of your comfort zone. And this will also mean going back and exploring what may be difficult memories of your childhood and past relationships. But through this process, you're going to learn to trust yourself, because there was so much second guessing with the narcissist. Now you're going to learn to trust yourself again. And you're going to tap into your instincts about people. And you're going to stop judging yourself and recognize the signs of an unhealthy relationship. You will also learn how to act in a way that protects you from further emotional harm from others. You're going to challenge yourself to grow personally and to find ways to feel great about yourself in all aspects of your life. Will become a positive activity. And it won't happen overnight, but it will happen if you give yourself the opportunity to make the necessary changes. The vast majority of people who live through narcissistic relationships become knowledgeable about these types of behaviors. And that's one way that my Wake Up Recovery for Healing Toxic Relationships can really help you. Inside, you're not only going to learn not to settle for less, you're going to learn, You're going to learn all about the narcissistic relationship, more than what you probably already know. Rather than going into everything you're going to learn, I just welcome you to go to the page, the link. But it is a program to help you heal through the stages after a narcissistic relationship, or even if you're in the beginning stages. It's also a place where we go into love addiction recovery and codependency recovery. These are all part, a lot of these programs out there really just focus on the narcissistic abuse, but I want you to focus on the other aspects as well, the codependency and the love addiction. For example, I consider my early toxic relationship days. I suffered severe separation anxiety and abandonment issues in all my intimate relationships, which made me very vulnerable to toxic relationships. I'm just sharing a little bit about my story. And I know now that it was rooted in early trauma due to being born premature in days when preemies were left alone in incubators, the fear of germs, keeping the loved ones from those important first bonding moments. It was rooted in my mother going back to work pretty much immediately after I was born. Going back to the incubator, when you are in an incubator and you're not getting that early attachment or bonding or nurturing, it's going to set you up for separation anxiety, abandonment wounds, mother wounds. And so it made me vulnerable to toxic relationship. But anyway, going back to some of the things that led to my being in a toxic relationship, it was rooted also in my mother going back to work really early, immediately after I was born. It was rooted in going through my childhood and early adulthood, feeling extremely uncomfortable anytime I was alone. And I guarantee you, my community you will not feel alone. I would never feel comfortable in a relationship, but that didn't mean I avoided relationships. I jumped into them one after the other without choosing any of them wisely. I settled for less. Because the only way to ease that excruciating pain for me, or that emptiness and abandonment I felt, was to fill it up with anything: relationships, food, drugs, alcohol, shopping, working, anything to distract. And there's so much more to my story, but it would take so much longer to tell all of it today. So I'll summarize by saying that it was a year after my father had passed away, 4 years since my last divorce, 2 years after my dog Max had died, that I had what I can call a spiritual awakening. And I no longer felt numb. I no longer felt disconnected or medicated or asleep. I felt like I just woke up from a very long nightmare. That's why I call the program Wake Up Recovery. And I no longer felt the need to destroy my self-esteem with endless shame attacks because I had been so unlucky in love. I was so hard on myself. And I spent a year grieving my first love, my father, and I was ready to feel again, to feel connected, to belong to something greater than myself. My father was gone, but I was alive, and he was channeling through me the way to claw out of this terrible hole I was in. I realized that I was a romance and relationship addict and vulnerable to picking toxic partners. I realized that there were lessons that I had really needed to learn, and perhaps they needed to be shared with the world. Perhaps my history could make a difference in someone else's life. I hope I've started to make a difference in yours. I hope this was helpful. You've reached a major milestone today just by being here to learn all about the devalue and discard stages of narcissistic relationships. And I hope you've gained some valuable insight that you'll carry forward in breaking free from toxic relationships. But I urge you not to think that you're done. We're never really done. This whole thing about life is a journey, and my journey has been a long one, and I'm still on it. So I know for sure if you stop here, you're going to stay stuck here, because as enlightening as today's workshop might have been for you, you're not fully equipped to completely let go of a toxic relationship. So if you stop here, you kind of risk regressing, going back to the loneliness, the obsession, the insecurity, and the shame and the fear. And I say this from personal experience. All those things that you've been working so hard to distract or get rid of. And I know this. So by continuing your journey, you will keep on transforming. You'll move closer and closer towards finding healthy, authentic love. You'll let go of that toxic relationship that has had you living in fear. You'll discover the true potential you have for self-love and confidence and easily attracting what you desire, whether it's a new job, a career, maybe moving like I did, new relationship. And I do hope that you'll continue the journey with me. And I say this not because I'm trying to sell you on some expensive program or workshop, because by the way, it's $1 to join the trial. Then it goes to $27 a month, or you can join a year for $149, and that's a whole year's access. But I really truly want to help provide you the community and the support that I needed when I was going through my journey. So the Wake Up Recovery program for healing from a toxic relationship is a limited time offer. You will get all of the lessons that cover the fundamental steps in healing from a toxic relationship. You'll receive worksheets and powerful assignments, master classes. You're going to get the Wake Up Recovery breakthrough program. That's I think it's 8 modules, but then there's another 8 modules for codependency and love addiction. It's probably over 30 videos. And then I do a master class every month. And then I do group coaching every month and worksheets and interviews. And it's just a treasure trove of stuff that I've been putting together for 5 years. But it is self-paced. You can go at your own pace. So if that's not enough, you get to join a private community for ongoing support and accountability. So when you've been stuck in certain behavior patterns for most of your life, it can be all too easy to revert back to them, even as you're moving forward and making good progress. So having that ongoing support and accountability and community. I have people still in there from 4 or 5 years ago, even though they're way past the healing. They just like to be reminded. They like the accountability, and I'm always putting new things in there. So ongoing support and accountability is critical when it comes to actually putting these changes into action. So I encourage you not to stop now. I'm going to have you go back to the comment section so that you can learn to release your dependence on toxic relationships and really realize your worth by honoring the most important relationship of all, your relationship with you. So definitely go to the comment section. Also, I'll just give you the link here. Well, actually, the link is wakeuprecovery.com/become-a-member-co-sale. Go ahead and put that question back up. I missed it. How long does it take to recover from narcissistic abuse? Is there any time frame? Well, it kind of depends on your, do you have early trauma? Are you someone that had childhood trauma? Were you abused growing up or neglected or abandoned? I think it's an ongoing journey. I think the original, the original part of the no contact is probably the hardest part. And then you start doing the deeper work of, the trauma, the PTSD that you've been through because of the relationship, and then any trauma that you grew up with or trauma from past relationships. So I can't really give a definitive number. It's different for everybody, but I can tell you the worst part is the first part, which is no contact. And then I can tell you this too, 100%. I went to therapy. I hired a trauma therapist. I actually do trauma therapy. You can find me at sherrygaba.com if you're looking for a trauma therapist. And if you don't want a trauma therapist, definitely find somebody that specializes in trauma. You don't want anybody that, you don't really want to work with a coach for something like this. You really want to work with a therapist who is a trauma expert, who has the background and what you need. So if you do all those things, join a community, get a trauma therapist, I think that the healing can be much quicker. And I think it's really important to have the therapy in the community, and the therapy for sure if you're dealing with trauma. I don't see any other questions. Why is it so hard to move on from a narcissist? Great question. So because of the gaslighting effect, the ups and downs, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance where there's ups and downs. Their actions don't match their words. This causes crazy making. And then you're always hoping for the ups, sort of like what you had in the beginning stages of the love bombing. So you're always hoping that you're going to get back to that stage. You're actually addicted to the peptides that causes. There's actually an addiction that's formed when you're going up highs and lows, kind of like any addiction. Think about alcoholism or drug addiction or gambling. They all have, or shopping. They all have highs and lows. So that becomes an addiction. And that's why it is so difficult to get away from a narcissist. And then, of course, they've probably pounced on your self-esteem by all the terrible things that they've said to you. It takes a while. I mean, Even till this day, I still can remember certain things that were said to me. And, it's much softer. I don't beat myself up, like I did when early on, but it's painful. They say painful things and it stings. Narcissists will sting you, and they do. So that's why it is so hard to get over a narcissist. And, if you have PTSD, or excuse me, if you have trauma from the past and now it's been coupled to this relationship and then other bad relationships or traumatic relationships or narcissistic relationships, there's this compounding effect. And so that would be the other reason. So that's why I really believe that, well, I think anybody that's been with a narcissist has PTSD. I think anybody that's been with a narcissist needs trauma therapy, not talk therapy. You need trauma therapy. You need trauma therapy to discharge all that toxic energy that has inside of you. I mean, even if you stopped right now and just kind of felt in your body where you feel the memories of that relationship, I'm sure something will come up. You might feel like some kind of pain in your heart. You might feel your shoulders tense up. Your hands might get sweaty. That's all trauma. So you want to find a great trauma therapist to work with. And you don't want a talk therapist, and you don't want a coach. I'm not saying coaches aren't great. I'm not saying talk therapists aren't great, but not when you've been with a narcissist. Also, I want to know, is there any episode of panic and fear after narcissistic abuse? Yes, that I can relate to that very well. Oh my God. So that's what got me to leave the narcissist for about a month. I mean, it was kind of building. And then the last month there was so much anxiety and I didn't know what it was. I go, what is going on? I'd never had anxiety like this before. It was crippling. I mean, it was just debilitating. And it went on for about 4 weeks. And then I just needed like some space. So I asked this boyfriend, narcissist, can I have some space? I don't know what's going on with me. So I went and saw a therapist, a psychiatrist, and I joined a community, and I realized I needed to let go of this person, that this anxiety, nothing in the world was worth this anxiety. And I finally just kind of woke up. That's why I call it wake up recovery. That's why I call it that, because you really are. It's like a waking up. You're like in this fog, and if you're a love addict, which I'm a recovering love addict, you're kind of in a fantasy world. You're just like, oh, this is so fun. I'm having so much fun. And until it's not fun, right? And it's not always fun. And many times it's not fun. It's just, again, it's at those highs and lows. But, love addicts tend to be in love with the illusion of something rather than what it really is. We tend to just kind of pretend and fantasize, oh, this is great. It's great. And it's not. So yeah, your body talks to you. Your body tells you exactly what you need to know. And if you're having anxiety or depression or even physical stuff, I had gotten shingles. I got a staph infection. I started losing hair. I mean, if these things are happening to you, these are signs that you're definitely in a toxic relationship and you need to get out, and you need to get out now before it really makes you sick. The need for admiration for the narcissist, where does it come from? It comes from their own abandonment issues. Narcissists are often the same as a codependent. We both, our love addicts both have these abandonment issues, severe abandonment issues. The difference is a codependent or love addict will become, will appease a narcissist. They'll be a people pleaser. They'll be the one that does all the giving. The narcissist deals with their abandonment in a whole different way. So they're on two sides of the coin, but the narcissist will be the one that takes, and becomes abusive and manipulative and all those things. That's how he or she deals with their abandonment issues. But often, really, and again, I'm gonna say, I'll throw out a caveat that that's not always the case. Sometimes you get into a relationship with a narcissist and you don't have abandonment issues. You just happen to have certain characteristics or personality traits that unfortunately you got manipulated. I never want to blame or shame anyone. Narcissists are very cunning and very manipulative, and you can be a totally healthy, happy, successful person with no abandonment issues, and suddenly you find yourself in this relationship. So it's not always the case, but more often than not, codependents and narcissists have abandonment issues. Again, check out wakeuprecovery.com/become-a-member-co-sale. or look at the link. I'm not sure what link I actually gave the tech people, maybe a different link, but definitely. Oh, thank you so much. Here's the link right here, wakeuprecovery.com/IG1. Includes $1 1-month trial. Thank you so much for putting that up, tech people. Yeah, it's $1 for the first week, and then it goes to $27. Or there's also an offer for $149 for a year. I mean, I don't know if you know what therapy costs. I charge more than $149 an hour for therapy. So $149 for a year to be with me live once a month for group coaching, and all the content that I put together for the last 4 years it's like giving it away for free. Really, it's kind of amazing. But I want to reach as many people as I can. I already have a therapy practice. I make a living that way. I don't need to make a living with this program, but I do love having this content out there. I love helping people. Not everybody can afford therapy. Not everybody can afford me. Although I do take insurance. Just in California, I do take insurance. So anyway, that's just me. So how do you stop reminders of horrific physical abuse flashback? You stop reminders by getting into really good trauma therapy. I cannot emphasize that enough. This is not something you can do necessarily on your own. However, there are some soothing techniques that I often will teach my clients. They come from polyvagal theory. Polyvagal theory is how we regulate our nervous system. There's 3 aspects to our nervous system: the sympathetic, the dorsal, and the ventral. And there's all kinds of ways to get into the ventral vagal, which is that calm place. So part of what I do, in my community and in my therapy is to help people self-soothe, learn how to self-soothe. Because if you can self-soothe, you can be on your own and not be so scared. That was my issue. I had to be in a relationship because being alone was so petrifying. But once I learned I could be alone, and I learned these self-soothing techniques, and I unearthed all my childhood trauma, I could be with myself. In fact, I love my life right now, being on my own. It's amazing. I mean, it doesn't mean I may not meet someone one day, but right now I'm pretty happy on my own. I could never say that when I was younger. So great questions. I love it. And I love that you've all been here, and I thank you so much. I'll stay on until the tech team tells me to not be on, but I'm here if anybody else has any questions. Maybe put up my community website again. Maybe that would be helpful for anybody else that's there. Thank you. I also mentioned I have a book called Love Smacked, which is all about healing from codependency and toxic relationships and love addiction. And that's on Amazon, called Love Smacked. And then I also have a practice where I see clients at sherrygaba.com, sherrygaba.com. And I also have a podcast called The Love Fix. It's called The Love Fix. It's all about healing from toxic relationships, codependency. And we do also some stuff on dating after a toxic relationship. So it's a really cool podcast. We have some of the greatest guests out there, leaders in this field, and we have a lot of fun. My co-host is 30 years younger than me. We share the same birthday, and we just have such a good time, but it's really valuable information. So that's The Love Fix. So again, the book is called Love Smacked. The podcast is The Love Fix. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, the Love Fix podcast. And the book is Love Smacked. And by the way, the book, The Love Smacked, has another part to the book. The other side, I never remember it. Isn't that sad? Let me go back to my introduction. I think I said it in the introduction. It's Love Smacked. Love Smacked, How to Stop the Cycle of Relationship Addiction and Codependency to Find Everlasting Love. So that's on Amazon. And then my website is sherrygaba.com. But I really hope I see you in my community. I really do. That's what I did when I was over when I broke up with the narcissist. I joined a community, a very, very expensive community, by the way, which you don't have to do. You can join my community, which is not expensive. The community I joined was ridiculously expensive, but it really was life altering for me. So I'm not sorry that I joined it. And I think that inspired me to, I know that inspired me to create my program, but make it a membership so that it's not as expensive as, let's say, a group coaching program where it could be, a lot more money. It could be $500 a month, $1,000 a month. But I do group coaching once a month. So it's kind of interesting. Even though I don't call it a group coaching program, there is group coaching. It's a self-paced program where you can go through the modules as fast or as slow as you want. It's just a great thing to have kind of in your ears, all that information, or watching the videos, in between your sessions. If you're in therapy, just kind of keeps you in that, healing vibration. I wonder if there's anybody left here. Oh, there are no questions coming right now. If you want, you can end the session. Oh, okay. I just got information from the tech person, so I'm going to close. And I want to thank you all so much for being with me today. And I look forward to seeing you again. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.